Morning, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. And here's what we're going to do. I have spent the last 3 days trucking through this 4,000 acre wildlife area behind the Pathfinder School property. I've done almost or right at 20 kilometers over 3 days and an overnight. Checking back in base camp during that time. I have the same loadout on my person the entire time. I've used the same exact equipment, the same exact setup. And what I want to do is I want to teach you how to actually set up a backpack or set up a loadout that's going to work for you no matter what your situation is. So I'm going to walk through it with you how I did it. And we're going to throw some clips in from these trucks that I've done out here into this wilderness area. We're going to talk about the setup that I have in the pack and how I have it packed and the weight of the system itself, because I believe that you can mix and match gear to get yourself down to a comfortable weight, still be able to carry everything you need for a comfortable night's sleep, a hunt, a camp, all that kind of stuff, or a fish and camp. We're going to do a fishing camp trek probably starting tomorrow for a couple days and check that out. I'm going to hit several different areas out here in this wildlife area with a same setup, except I'm going to take the firearm part away, the optics away, and go to fishing elements. And we're going to do that experiment. Unfortunately, there is a ton of video that I got on this. So I'm not sure I can squeeze it all into one video without the thing being like an hour long, especially if I'm going to walk through how I packed everything, what it is, what it weighs, and all that kind of stuff. Because what I'll show you is a clip here that will show you this pack sitting on top of a scale. All right, for those curious, that's the pack sitting up on top of this scale. It is almost empty of water, and there's a couple meals missing out of the food, but it is under 25 pounds. At the moment, probably a little over 25 with the food, and then with the firearm, probably talking about a 30-pound load. And the pack is empty of water when I set it on top of the scale because it was at the end of today's 12K. And it is empty of a couple of bags of food and a couple of snack bars. So it's got like 1.5 days of food left in it. And it's at 22 pounds without the firearm. And I have everything you could possibly imagine that you would need for 2 or 3 days of trekking, hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, all that kind of stuff in this pack. And that's what I want to walk through with you today to teach you how to think about things when you're building your kit. Now, bear in mind, not all of this stuff is what you would call common man. And I think a lot of people mistake that common man with common sense. All right. Even Horst Kephart said, buy the best gear that your purse can afford. Buy what you can to begin with, use what you've got, and upgrade as you can. A lot of the gear that you're going to see in this pack, in this loadout, is stuff I've had for years. Very little of it has been bought fairly recently, and if it was bought to test it recently to see how well it worked in comparison to other products that I have been using for years. And we'll talk about that as we go. I'll talk about how long I've had each piece of gear. I've got gear in here that I bought 5, 6, 7 years ago. I've got a hammock in here I've been sleeping in for at least 5 years in this hammock system, and videos on that hammock system going back 4 or 5 years. So there's nothing new. So if I paid a lot more money for it, or quite a bit more money you would pay for a Walmart hammock, it lasted me for a long, long time because I've spent dozens of nights in the woods in this thing. So that's kind of what I want to get across to you in the beginning of this video, is so that you understand some of the gear is more expensive, but it lasted a long time. And that's really what I call common man, is getting the best thing that I can afford that's going to have the best durability for the money I'm going to spend. So let's get started because it's going to be a long video anyway. What's going on, y'all? Just putting in some miles today. Checking out some kit and putting in, 5-7K today to just be sure that what we're carrying is going to be comfortable over distance. And check the weight, see where we're at. This backpack's probably sitting at around 25-ish. That's with 2 days of food and water. And that's 32 ounces of water in a full bottle, titanium, and then a full grail as well. The new titanium grail. And we have a firearm. So we're carrying probably 30 pounds total. It's not a problem. Very comfortable on the back right now so far. Just keep on rocking, and we'll keep in touch with you as we go and see what sights we can see today. Just do a nice smooth scout. I'd say that was probably the doing of a bobcat if I had to guess. Nice travel way here. Right at the high ground, going down to the lower ground. Well, we're sitting at about right at 3K, 2.9K, something like that right now. I only planned on doing probably 7 today, so we're a little over halfway through. Just stopped to sit down and grab myself some water. I'll probably collect a little water the next water stop I find. Seen a couple interesting things today on the walk, and glad you guys could join me. Let's get rolling. All right, unfamiliar territory, I love it. And this is a west to east trail, I guess. And it's heading over toward another wildlife area, actually. So I'm gonna follow it for a little while. All right, well, not sure exactly where we're at in the trek here. I think we're probably, if I had to guess, 6, 7K maybe, but got a pond over here, and we're going to have some lunch, head back the other way. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, if you were gonna boil that water, why'd you bother filtering it through the grill? Taste. The grill takes taste out of the water, and I know this water out here in this wildlife area tastes like crap, especially in a slough like this, where there's no flow. It's just stagnant water. Going through the grill was the best bet. Now we can get some water in the boil for lunch. And I will tell you, like I said, taste, that was the issue, right? That stuff tastes like bottled water now. It's amazing. Well, I figured since today's National Picnic Day anyway, might as well have a picnic while I'm in the woods with some good cheeseburger meal here. Let that thing sit for about 10 minutes. Do your other stuff. Money. Oh yeah, for sure. Whew. That's awesome. All right, we'll finish that off with some dessert. A little energy gel here for the road. Chocolate. Be ready to go. Man, that's good. Whew. All right. Empty bag here. Get all our trash. Get our desiccant pack over here. Carry it in, carry it out. I usually keep a plastic bag in my bag just to throw this stuff in so I can carry it out. I'll tell you what, I don't care what kind of stove you've got. If it takes ISO tanks, this little set of feet right here, you can buy these on Amazon to fit different size tanks. And I'll tell you what, man, these things will save your life on uneven ground. I always keep my food bag pretty close to the top of this pack. This is a Dyneema bag. It's got some air in it. It'll push right out when you push down the pack. And I stick my ISO stove right beside that dude so that when I'm ready for a snack, I have an easy time getting to it. Real simple. Gloves and shemagh on top of that I might need on the trail. And I'm ready to go. Get that pack packed back up. Get back on the trail here. All right, that was a good stop for lunch. Pack back up. Ready to hit the trail again. And I thought we'd go ahead and bust some brush for a little bit here. I'm taking a kind of an angled azimuth back to that original pipeline we were on. And just kind of doing it by feel here. I know pretty much that it's going to be mostly a downhill elevation. I've got the sun pretty much in front of me, so I'm heading fairly well south. If I have to pull out my GPS, it's no big deal. If I have to pull out my compass, it's no big deal. But it's pretty hard to get lost. You've got yourself set up with good backstops, handrails, things like that. All right, this cross trail here, I know, goes out to that pipeline we were walking down this morning. So we're in good shape. Keep on trucking. All right, back out on this open clear-cut pipeline. That's the direction we took this morning. We came out where this little creek feeds out. Down that trail that came out right there. Now we've got about, I don't know, where we saw that muskrat this morning is probably 150 yards up there, somewhere like that, where those tiles are at. The muskrat was in this morning. So what I thought we'd do is we would just take this pack as it sits, and this is the Pathfinder Scout Pack. This is exactly how I've been carrying this configuration. I'm going to switch some things out on the next run or the next practice runs with this kit because I want to try some different things. I want to try some stainless steel versus titanium. We'll talk about that as far as the weight differential goes because it's not near as much as you might think it is. So we're going to talk about that as well. I've got one water bottle pouch on the outside belt of this thing. This is just a Hazard 4. I've got a titanium water bottle here. That's what I carry to drink out of on the run. And then I've got a titanium grail on this side, in the side pocket, okay? And then I've got my whoopee jacket here, piled basically into the hood like I would use it if I was using it for a pillow. And I've jammed it into the straps so I can throw it on early in the morning, shuck it off and stick it under there when it gets warm outside. So what I want to do with this pack is I want to kind of start at the top of this pack. And we just did, on the first day, we did, if I remember right, and I'll put the map and everything on here. I think we did a little over 9K on day one. And day one, we stopped and we got water and we got food, all right? So I want to talk about those items first as we go through the pack. And generally speaking, at the top of this pack, and I'm not talking about in the envelope on the hood now, I'm talking about in the top of this pack, there's a couple things that I want to get to really quick, okay? The first one is a pair of gloves, a pair of mechanics gloves, and a shaman. I always keep those at the top of the pack. But right beside that or underneath that is my food and water kit. So this is everything to not only collect water other than the Grail and disinfect that water for consumption, make it potable, or anything I need to cook food and eat, all right? So we're gonna go over this because you're talking about, now this says 2.1 pounds, you see it's on the bag. When I weighed this bag, it was 2.1 pounds. This bag did not include the Primus boiling system that is in here now. It has a separate weight on it. It was a little over a pound. It also had more food in it than it has now. But at 2 pounds one, plus the 1 pound for the Jetboil-like system made by Primus, I'm using Jetboil as an example so people know what I'm talking about before we get it out. You're talking about 3 pounds probably of stuff here to eat and collect water over that 3 days. And it's in a Dyneema bag that's really heavy duty that I keep at the top of the pack. I can just yank it out, throw it aside if I have to get to other stuff. But all I have to pull out is this if I want to sit down and eat a meal or collect water. Okay, so a couple things that we did on the trail on day one was we collected some water and we also ate our food. So when we collected our water, we used the Grail system to do that. So we just dunked our Grail in the water, pressed it down. That gave us fresh water. I filled up my water bottle and did it a second time so that I had 2 bottles of water with me on that day, okay? And this is a very simple way to do things, but it doesn't do a lot of volume real fast, okay? You're gonna get this bottle, fill it up, this bottle again, couple 3 minutes to get that done, and then you're ready to rock and roll. So it's conveniently easy if you just need a little bit of water really fast, okay? Now, backups to backups to backups always, right? I have another water filtration system here and a millbank bag in case I have really, really nasty water I want to run through the Grail. We'll talk about that on day 2. 1 gallon Ziploc bag for trash. This is, you can see it's got used food in it now from the trail this morning, okay? I've got a few Pathfinder meals in here. I had a breakfast in here. This thing could be broken up a little bit. I had a breakfast in here and I had 2 entrees in here and I had 1 soup. I ate the 2 entrees over the last couple days. I have this Primus Light, which is very similar to a Jetboil, but in my opinion, it's a better system, although it's older. This was probably around before Jetboil, to be honest with you. But I bought this in Sweden about 5 years ago, and I've used it a million times. What I like about it is that it's titanium, which that doesn't matter to me. I don't care about it being titanium. With stainless steel, the weight's not gonna be that much different. We'll talk about that later. What I like about this system is that the stove actually connects to the container so that everything is connected. And once you fold this handle over and underneath to this other slot right here, basically what you have is something that you can now pick up, and you're picking up, there's no way this can just fall off of your stove or get knocked off. And then with that, I carry a set of feet, and I talk about these on the video from Amazon. Once you snap those feet on, even if the ground's a little bit unstable, this thing's not gonna fall over. So you got a really lightweight system there, and if all you're doing is eating food like this, that you just have to boil water to eat, and you're gonna eat it out of the bag, so you're never really gonna dirty this, you're in good shape. Now, the problem comes in when you want something like coffee. If you're gonna fix coffee in this and drink out of it, you're gonna have to clean it out. That's why I have the Grail cup. I use that and just wash it out. I like this system really well because it's self-contained. It's very, very easy to deal with. A tank of fuel goes a long way. When you're done using it, all you have to do is take this handle out and wrap it over the top, and it kind of keeps everything enclosed. This thing right here will work for a cup. If you just need a small cup of coffee, This right here will kind of work as a little mini Kuxa. That's what I use it for anyway. But I don't know if it's meant for that or not, but it works for that. So between that and these legs, it's a pretty easy, simple system. This thing weighs 1.5 pounds. You can see I've measured all this stuff and weighed all this stuff, okay? So 1.5 pounds plus the 2 pounds this thing was, you're at about 3.5 pounds, 3 pounds, 6 ounces, something like that. All said and done. I've got some meat bars in here. I've got some coffees in here. Some of this stuff's been consumed, obviously. I have some emergencies in here. I have my titanium spoon in here. And I have these Stinger waffles. I really like these honey waffles and these chocolate squeezes. I really like them really well too. And then I just keep a salt and pepper shaker in there and something to scour out my pot with in case I cook something in the pot. And then a spare O-ring. That's just for a filter system that we'll talk about in another video or later on in this video if we get time without running this thing over. That's the problem. This video is going to be long, okay? I empty my trash bag when I got back and start over again, obviously. And I keep the air squeezed out of that too. And I keep it in there. And that bag is all I need for food and water collection, other than my Grail if I'm going to use that for water collection. This thing will do everything else, okay? Separate kit for all of that. 3.5 pounds-ish. Okay, let me show you where some of the surprises come in, all right? Because I've been carrying titanium this week for purpose of weight, all right? That's the reason most people carry titanium. They prefer it because it's lighter weight. This is a titanium bottle. It weighs 9 ounces, okay? This is a stainless steel Pathfinder bottle. It weighs 8.2 ounces. It's lighter than the titanium. Now, if you add the cup, you get a different story. Cup and bottle, titanium, 12.5 ounces. Cup and bottle, stainless steel, 15.2. So you add 3 ounces to the kit, basically, when you go with stainless steel versus titanium. So if 3 ounces is going to kill you, then 3 ounces is going to kill you, I guess. Now, since we're talking about water, let's talk about the Grail system, okay? Titanium Grail. 1 pound, 10 ounces. Now, I've got 1.10 here, 1.4 written on the bottle. And the reason for that is when I weighed this bottle, it had never been used, so the filter was completely dry. This has been used on the trail for 3 days. Filter's no longer dry. The bottle's empty, but the filter's not dried out. That difference is quite a bit. Now you're at 1 pound 10, and that's what you're going to carry most of the time, not the 1.4, but the 1 pound 10 ounces, because you're going to be using it. It's going to stay wet most of the time. All right. Now let's look at the stainless steel and the plastic. 114. Same situation. Wet filter. I just used it the other day. Stainless steel cup. Same volume as far as everything goes. 114. Again. 110. 4 more ounces. So for a ½ pound of difference, I can carry the stainless steel, complete system of stainless steel, versus the complete system in titanium. The only difference being there is that Primus boiling system, which is titanium. And again, if it was stainless steel, I would carry it. All right, so I just want to put that quick example there to show you that a lot of times the difference between stainless steel and titanium is fairly negligible. If you pulled that stainless steel cup off the original GeoPress, the weights of those two systems would be virtually identical. So really, it's up to you what you want to carry and how you want to use it. But those are the things that you want to think about when you're building your kit. All right, so another day, another trail. Kind of taking a different direction here in the wildlife area than yesterday. But here's the key to this, right? Backpack, firearm, hunting type setup, hunting camping setup, you need to, got a crazy crossing here in the mud. You need to make sure that you're carrying a firearm with you, so you're used to carrying that. I love this rubber sling because even if I have to use this hand for something and bend over, it doesn't really slide off. You know, it might lose adjustment a little bit, but I can put it right back where it came from. So I like that. And part of that, getting used to what you can carry, how it carries, how much weight you want to carry, how it's distributed in your pack, getting to those things when you need them. All of that's not something you learn 200 yards from your car. You learn that stuff by walking miles, by camping out, by doing trails with that gear. Ruger 1022, and I'm walking. Today my plan is about 7K. Yesterday we did 9.4. So doing this 2-3 times a week keeps you in that mode of properly testing gear, properly understanding what you can and can't carry, what you're willing to carry, not willing to carry, so that you can be comfortable when you do camp. Okay, so let's talk about this water situation here and a filter other than the Grail. Again, there's my water kit right there inside the food bag. Got this one laying here because I want to show you something here. So my system always has been a Sawyer filter. Take this out of here for a minute. A Sawyer filter connected to this knock bag, and you collect in this end, drip from this end. That's pretty much the Appalachian thru hiker system right there. Most of those guys use this system, all right? What I wanted to experiment with this Hydro Pack. The Hydro Pack is a little heavier material, I think, than the knock bag is. It's also got a bottom in it, so it will stand up when it's full. It's got some measurement markers on it. It's got straps on it to lash it and hold it to things. I can hang it by this very easily. It's got a fairly wide mouth on it, although it's not as big as the knock bag. And I found this adapter for it on eBay for the Hydro Pack bag to the Sawyer filter. When I got it, this thing leaked like a sieve. I was very unhappy. But I went and bought some O-rings at Menards, and that's the O-rings I've got spare in my kit. And once I put that O-ring on there to screw this onto the Hydro Pack, it then stopped leaking and worked very, very well. But once you get that screwed on there up to the O-ring, it worked pretty well for sure. It didn't leak. And then you can just screw the Sawyer on this end, And you have the same scenario where you can either squeeze the bag, just take this off and squeeze it into your water bottle and squeeze the bag, just like you would the knock bag, or you can hang it and create a drip system. When I was done, I just turned this upside down and let it drain out. I left this off, this cap off, and just hung this off the back of my bag to dry out. This is a dirty water bag, but remember that once it's dried out, the things that were in it, as far as the bacteria and protozoa, are going to be dead. They can't live without the water. So, you know, yes, I'm only going to use this for dirty water 99.9% of the time, but if I had to use it for something else, I could, as long as it's dry. If you leave it wet, that's a different story, okay? For water filtration as a backup to the Grail. And then I've got also the connector, and I don't know if we've had these in stock yet or not, but this actually screws on to this end of the Sawyer filter and screws onto your water bottle, and it's got an air vent here to keep it from airlocking on you, and it will drain hang right into a water bottle if you want to just hang it to drain while you're doing something else. That works fine as well. And this also fits the titanium water bottle and the canteen, and then a Millbank bag. Like I said, in case the Grail, I'm going to use the Grail, I got some really filthy water, I'll run it through the Millbank bag first to save that filter. But that, I just keep in a mesh bag so it's easily hung out to dry if I need to, and throw that in my food bag, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Makes things real simple that way. Again, self-contained, everything from food to water is right here other than the Grail.